Kirby Puckett is one of the best all-around players in the history of baseball. His relentless work ethic and extraordinary talent are what drove him to success throughout his career. Not only was he an elite hitter, he was a center fielder with a cannon for an arm and incredible range thanks to his wheels. His shorter stature and stockier build never held him back from being one of the game's best. As fantastic as he was in the ball field, he was an even better person. His infectious smile and outgoing personality made him a fan favorite in Minnesota. The most highly requested player on the channel that hasn't had a video yet is Kirby Puckett, so I'm very excited to post this video today. Thank you to everyone for the suggestions, and make sure to leave a comment and maybe you'll be featured on a future video. As always, if you enjoy, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Make sure to hit the bell to enable all notifications so you don't miss any future Cam 23 videos. Kirby Puckett was born on March 14th in 1960 to parents William and Catherine. His father was a postal worker, and his mother was busy raising 9 children. Kirby grew up in the Robert Taylor Homes public housing project on the south side of Chicago. He was the youngest in the family, and that definitely had an impact on playing makeshift baseball with kids several years older than himself. From a young age, Kirby showcased natural ability, not just in baseball, but within other sports as well. Throughout his time at Calumet High School, Kirby Puckett was determined to take his game to the next level. One key component to his success was his immense strength. At just 5'8", he dedicated himself to weightlifting and bodybuilding. He said it best himself, "It was no secret I wasn't going to be tall, so I figured if I can't be tall, I'll be strong." As a high school third baseman, Puckett established himself and received All-American honors. Surprisingly, he would receive no fruitful offers to play college baseball following his high school graduation. He didn't want to venture out too far from home, so he decided to take a job installing carpeting in Thunderbirds at a Ford plant, only to be let go of the company and left to wonder what his future held. Puckett found work where he could on a temporary basis while continuing to pursue a career in baseball. By word of mouth, he heard about a major league tryout and decided to give it a shot. It was close to home in Chicago, and during the tryout, he got the attention of Dewey Calmer, head coach at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. It was the perfect opportunity for Kirby, giving him the chance to continue playing ball while also staying close to his hometown. Sadly, Kirby's father William passed away just 3 weeks into his first year of college. This would influence his decision to stay close to home throughout his college career. As a freshman, Kirby quickly realized that getting playing time at third base with the lineup loaded with seniors was going to be too much of an uphill battle. He moved to the outfield and would find himself leading the team with 8 home runs on the season. After 1 year at Bradley University, he transferred to Triton College, located in River Grove, Illinois. Jim Rantz, the assistant farm director for the Minnesota Twins, went to watch his son's collegiate baseball game. After the game ended, Jim had his eye on a ball player for the opposing squad. He had something like 4 hits and made a great throw from center field to throw out a runner at the plate. And the best thing was that there were no other scouts in the stands to see him. The player he was referring to was Kirby Puckett. As it turns out, he just so happened to be playing summer ball that year for the Central Illinois Collegiate League before transferring to Triton Community College. The Twins saw the report on Puckett and decided to select him 3rd overall in the January 1982 amateur draft. Despite some difficulties getting the contract finalized, they were able to come to an agreement, and Kirby Puckett was officially a professional baseball player. Right out of the gate, Kirby Puckett made his presence felt. In rookie ball, he led the league in 5 major offensive categories, including hits, batting average, and stolen bases. He followed this up with his stellar 1983 season in single-A ball, batting .314 and driving in 97 runs. Not to mention, he stole 48 bases. During the season, he would show off his cannon for an arm, leading all outfielders in assists. Normally, you get promoted from single-A to double-A in minor league baseball. The Twins said, "Forget that strategy, let's send Kirby Puckett to AAA." After just 21 games there, the Twins got antsy and promoted him. They could not wait any longer. Kirby Puckett made his major league debut on May 8th in 1984. He immediately made history, becoming just the 9th player to break into the majors with 4 hits in a single game. Kirby's first taste of big league ball was a double-sided coin. On defense, Puckett was incredible. He posted a 3.3 defensive WAR, second in all of baseball, only behind Cal Ripken Jr. Offensively, while he did hit .296, he would finish the year with just 17 extra base hits out of 165. By his 3rd year, that number would quadruple. In terms of OPS+, he was 21% lower than league average, but thanks to his contributions on defense, Puckett would finish third in Rookie of the Year voting, finishing behind two Seattle Mariners, Alvin and Mark Langston. 1985 started the Kirby Puckett hype train. The fans started to pile into the Metrodome, home to the Minnesota Twins. Fans were treated to the Kirby Puckett show, watching their young star racking up hits and robbing homers like it was an easy feat. Offensively, he was still figuring things out. He was scrappy though, bunting for base hits on a routine basis. Kirby finished his season just one hit short of 200. Close, but no cigar. He would soon travel well past the 200 hit mark in years to come. He stole career best 21 bases this season, accumulated 19 outfield assists, and finished 21st in MVP voting. 1986 is where the Kirby Puckett that struck fear into opposing pitchers decided to take the field. In addition to the quickness and speed demonstrated through his first two big league seasons, Kirby decided to add a new tool to his arsenal. Over the offseason leading up to 1986, Puckett worked out with Tony Oliva, batting coach for the Twins and future Hall of Famer, who helped him develop a leg kick that became a trademark the rest of his career. Kirby Puckett looked like a completely different offensive player throughout the first month of 1986. He belted 8 home runs, which led the league, picked up 36 hits, scored 22 runs, and was batting .396, with 16 runs driven in just 21 games. After April came to a close, he was recognized for this spectacular performance with the American League Player of the Month honors. His hot streak continued throughout the entirety of the first half. A .338 average, 16 homers, and a .909 OPS, combined with his elite defense, earned him a spot in his first All-Star game. Shortly after All-Star Weekend, Ray Miller, manager of the Twins, called Puckett into his office, informing him that he'd be hitting third in the batting order for the first time. From this point forward, Puckett would alternate between hitting leadoff and batting third. A player who hits way north of 300 and hits for power, such as Kirby, makes a lot of sense in both capacities. The Twins would play it day by day. During the season, Kirby would hit for the cycle and finish the year with a career-best 31 homers. Just a year earlier, in basically the same amount of at-bats, he had just 4. Kirby Puckett finished the season with a .328 batting average, 96 runs driven in, 223 hits, 20 stolen bases, and a .142 OPS+. For his efforts, he won his first career Gold Glove and Silver Slugger, and would finish 6th in MVP voting. After his stellar 1986 performance, that fall he would marry his wife Tanya, and the couple would go on to adopt 2 children, their daughter Catherine in 1990 and Kirby Jr. in 1992. 1987 showed some foreshadowing in the opening game for the Twins. Puckett hit a 2-run dinger to give Minnesota a 1-run lead over the Athletics. They would relinquish the lead, but Puckett would once again come through in the clutch and poked a go-ahead double into right field. He decided that putting the offense on his back wasn't enough, and would go on to rob a home run in the top of the 10th. This game set the tone for a magical year for not only Kirby Puckett, but the Twins as a whole. Puckett would make his second All-Star team, but cooled off from his hot hitting to start the second half. Tony Oliva continued to provide the motivational words of advice to Kirby, and got him to be more aggressive at the plate, to which he responded with a 4-hit game, and threw in 2 homers for good measure. Being the clutch player that he was, in one game he would take away a grand slam from Yount to maintain a Minnesota lead, and a few days later was back at it again, hitting a frozen rope home run that tied the game up. The Twins continued to thrive and would defy the underdog title given to them, winning the division title for the American League West. At the time, there were only 2 divisions in the American League, the East and the West. Kirby Puckett in the regular season was something else. He batted .332, blasted 28 homers, drove in 99, and led the league with 207 hits to go along with a .132 OPS+. For the second straight year, Puckett earned a Gold Glove and Silver Slugger. In MVP voting, he finished 3rd. Entering the postseason, many expected the Twins to be a first-round exit, matching up against the Detroit Tigers, who won 13 more games during the regular season. Minnesota was not fazed by the matchup and took 4 out of 5 to knock Detroit out of the playoff picture. Even with a measly .208 batting average, Kirby Puckett was still productive in the series, hitting a homer and driving in 3. The Twins now had a World Series date with the St. Louis Cardinals, a team that was 10 games better during the regular season. The Cardinals went up 3-2, but the Twins held their ground. Down 5-2 in Game 6, Kirby Puckett lined the first pitch he saw up the middle for a single to lead off the 5th inning. This ignited a 4-run Twins rally that put the team ahead. The following inning, guess who got the party started again? Kirby. Come on now, not that Kirby, this Kirby. You better believe that he came around to score, and he did so in grand fashion. The straw that broke the camel's back was a grand slam hit by Hrbek to cap another Twins rally. Just to add fuel to the fire, Puckett led off the 8th with another hit and would come around to score again. In this series, he had an absurd .419 on-base percentage and struck out just one time in 28 at-bats. He had found his October groove and continued to build his legacy as the clutch player that the Twins desperately needed him to be. The Twins held on to their 6-run lead and would win Game 6, 11-5. And now for the piece de resistance, Game 7. Starting pitcher for the Twins, Viola, put together a masterpiece, firing 8 innings of 2-run ball to keep St. Louis at bay. Meanwhile, Kirby Puckett picked up 2 hits, one of which was a game-tying RBI double in the bottom of the 5th. He had come through in the clutch yet again. The Twins would go on to collect 2 insurance runs and close the game out thanks to Jeff Reardon, who had a 3-up, 3-down 9th inning to secure the first World Series championship in the history of the Minnesota Twins. World Series MVP honors went to Viola, who started 3 out of 7 games and picked up 2 wins, one of which came in the crucial Game 7. You could certainly make the case that Kirby Puckett was also deserving of the award. There wouldn't have been a Game 7 if it wasn't for his clutch hitting throughout the series. Fresh off a World Series title, Kirby Puckett in 1988 put together the greatest season of his career. This can mainly be attributed to Kirby being in the best shape of his career. In the offseason, he was lifting weights with the Vikings' punter, Greg Coleman, and would also routinely find himself playing pickup basketball. On the dietary side of things, Kirby avoided red meat for a few weeks and reported to spring training down a few lbs and stronger than ever. During the 1988 season, Kirby picked up his 1,000th hit of his career, becoming just the 4th player to reach that milestone in his first 5 seasons. His 7.8 WAR was second in all of baseball, only behind Wade Boggs. Recently, I made a video focusing on the career of Boggs, so if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check that out after watching this video. But that scallywag Wade Boggs was the only one standing in Kirby Puckett's way of winning the batting title in 1988. Luckily, Kirby's .356 batting average did the trick in getting the attention of MVP voters. He led the league in hits with a career-high 234, hit 24 homers, drove in an also career-high 121 runs, and you guessed it, both his OPS and OPS Plus were career highs. For the 3rd straight season, Kirby Puckett won a Gold Glove and Silver Slugger. In MVP voting, for a 2nd consecutive season, he finished 3rd. It was certainly disappointing to not have a chance to repeat as World Series champs in 1988, but with Kirby Puckett putting on a show day in and day out, Twins baseball was still captivating to watch. 1989 was another fantastic year. While he didn't quite reach the heights of 1988, it would be blasphemy to say he had a down season. Once the regular season came to a close, Kirby Puckett etched his name in Minnesota Twins history. He became just the 3rd player in franchise history to win the American League batting title, joining Rod Carew and Tony Oliva. How about that for a full circle moment? Kirby Puckett, following the 1989 season, was in the conversation for the best player in baseball. He would sign a 3-year, $9 million contract that made history. Puckett became the first player ever to make $3 million a year. In the first year of that contract, the Twins wanted to preserve Puckett's legs and decided to play him in right field for the first time. And in one particular game, he would find himself playing some infield, getting time at shortstop, 3rd base, and 2nd base. Who does this guy think he is, Ryan Flaherty? He wasn't banished from center field, but rather was getting more reps at a less demanding position to keep him around for the long haul. Considering that they finished last in the West Division in 1990, things would most likely be grim entering 1991 and beyond. Except that wasn't the case. 1991 would be a year to remember for both Kirby Puckett and the Twins. After starting the year with back-to-back subpar months, Puckett and the Twins started to heat up. On May 23rd, he picked up a 6-hit game, the 2nd such occurrence of his career. The Twins would start up a win streak that would extend for more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
15 straight wins propelled Minnesota to 1st place in the West Division. In the last win of that streak, who else but Kirby Puckett would hit a home run to tie it up and kickstart a rally in the 10th inning to win the game. The Twins would win the West Division crown and found themselves playing some high-stakes October baseball. Kirby Puckett started the championship series off slow, but went on to absolutely crush the hopes and dreams of their opponent, the Toronto Blue Jays. Puckett hit an astonishing .429, hitting 2 homers and driving in 6. In Game 7, he once again came through when it mattered most, hitting a dinger and picking up a single, with the latter putting Minnesota up for good. For his efforts, Puckett was named ALCS MVP. The Twins were going back to the World Series. If they could pull it off, it would be their second title in a 5-year window. Having won the American League pennant, they were now on to face the Atlanta Braves, who would continually find themselves in the World Series throughout the 90s. The biggest challenge with winning it all is getting hot at the right time. Just like in the 1987 World Series, the Twins entering Game 6 were down 3-2. Before this win-or-go-home game for Minnesota, Kirby Puckett informed his teammates about how confident he felt. As he said himself, "Jump on my back today. I'll carry us." This comment would age extremely well. The Twins got off to a great start thanks to a Puckett RBI triple. He subsequently would score, giving the Twins a 2-0 lead. Not only would Kirby carry the offense, he'd also flash the leather on baseball's biggest stage. Like a gazelle, Puckett cruised to a fly ball hit deep to left center, and with ease, he took an extra base hit away from Gant. The robbery was just another day at the office. The Braves tied up the game in the 5th, but Kirby answered back by driving in his second run of the day. The only problem was Atlanta would not be going down without a fight. They would again tie the ball game up to send Game 6 to extras. Kirby Puckett, having driven in 2 of the 3 Minnesota runs, came up in the 11th with the chance to win the ball game. Like we mentioned earlier, he was going to carry the team today, and on an outside pitch, he smacked a baseball deep in the left center gap. Except, this ball wasn't putting on the brakes just yet. It grew some legs and surpassed the plexiglass to win Game 6 for Minnesota. Kirby Puckett had truly spoken his prophecy into existence and forced a Game 7 against Atlanta. The winner-take-all atmosphere provoked a pitcher's duel for the ages, John Smoltz versus Jack Morris, both future Hall of Famers, and neither allowed a run. Smoltz threw 7 1/3 scoreless, and Morris, well, let's just say that it was his turn to put the Twins on his back. Jack Morris threw a 10-inning shutout. Normally, 9 innings would do the trick, but the offense was nowhere to be seen. Puckett reached base 3 times, all via the walk, but would not come around to score. In the bottom of the 10th inning, Gene Larkin pinch hit and came through with a walk-off RBI single. On back-to-back nights, the Twins had walked off the Braves, and this time, it sealed their second World Series in 5 years. Jack Morris took home the World Series MVP honors after posting a 1.17 ERA and winning 2 games for Minnesota. Jack Morris and Kirby Puckett, in my book, were co-MVPs for Minnesota. Take away either of those 2 players, and the Twins would not have been able to take down the Braves. Kirby Puckett was back to business following the 1991 World Series win. He was named American League Player of the Month in both May and June, becoming just the second player to win the honor in consecutive months. Throughout the entire season, he never went more than 2 games consecutively without a hit. Offensively, he hit .329 and led the league with 313 total bases. The 7.1 WAR he compiled led all position players. After the 1992 season, Kirby Puckett became a free agent. Eventually, he and the Twins came to an agreement. Kirby could have gotten more money elsewhere, but his loyalty to Minnesota made it an easy decision to re-sign with the Twins. After signing his new contract, Puckett kept his foot on the gas and made his 8th straight All-Star team in 1993. Kirby Puckett made more history during the All-Star Game. He took home the All-Star Game MVP, becoming the only Twin to ever achieve this. He warranted the selection after homering and driving in another run with a double. The following year, in his age 34 season, Kirby Puckett led the American League with 112 RBIs. In 1994, Kirby Puckett hit another major milestone, recording the 2,000th hit of his career. Mid-season, Puckett would pass Carew, becoming the new Minnesota Twins hit king. If he wasn't already, Puckett had cemented himself as the best Minnesota Twins player of all time. 1995 consisted of more major milestones for Puckett. He reached 1,000 runs and 1,000 RBIs just 9 days apart. While sitting at 99 ribbies for the year, Puckett had a shot to hit the 100 RBI threshold for the 4th time of his career. His quest was put on hold after he was hit by a pitch. Unfortunately for Puckett and the Twins, the ball hit him square in the face, breaking his jaw and ending his season. Even with a gruesome ending to his age 35 season, Kirby Puckett still was an elite ball player who was showing no signs of slowing down. Kirby Puckett reported to spring training feeling great in 1996. On March 27th, less than a week away from opening day, the Twins faced off against future Hall of Famer Greg Maddux, who was coming off his 4th consecutive Cy Young Award winning season. Puckett won the battle against Maddux twice with a pair of singles. Little did the baseball world know that this would be the last time they'd see Kirby Puckett suit up as a Major League Baseball player. The next morning, he woke up with blurred vision and a dot that clouded his right eye. Come to find out that he was suffering from glaucoma. Puckett was hopeful that in time he'd return to normal, so in response the Twins placed him on the injured list throughout the first half of the season. In July of 1996, he realized that his vision would never improve and announced his retirement at a ceremony held in the Metrodome. It was an emotional day, and reality was hard to come to terms with. A player on top of his game ripped away from the sport that he loved. The news devastated fans and the baseball community, as Puckett's infectious personality and incredible talent were suddenly absent from the game. Even with an early retirement, Kirby Puckett was able to accomplish so much in 12 years. 10 All-Star appearances, 2 World Series rings, 6 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers, a batting title, and ALCS MVP honors, not to mention his 1991 World Series performance. His lifetime .318 batting average is incredible and totaled 2,304 hits in his career. Had he not suffered vision loss, he very well could have joined the 3,000 hit club. The best summary of Kirby Puckett as a baseball player comes from Andy MacPhail, former general manager of the Twins. Kirby Puckett is the kind of player you hope and dream that your franchise will have. He does everything on the field to help you win, and what he does in the clubhouse and the community is remarkable. In 2001, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, alongside Dave Winfield and Bill Mazeroski. Puckett's commitment to charity work and his unwavering positive attitude endeared him to fans and solidified his place as an icon in Minnesota sports history. Kirby Puckett's legacy became overshadowed by reports involving his wife Tanya. She was seeking a divorce because, allegedly, he'd been abusive. There were several other statements made that were denied by Kirby, but nonetheless, things started to spiral out of control. More reports came out that did not show Kirby in a positive light. He was faced with more serious charges, albeit he was acquitted from a trial in early 2003. Kirby Puckett, following his retirement from baseball, had been named the executive vice president of the Minnesota Twins, but in the midst of the controversy, they decided to part ways with him. Kirby decided to move to Arizona, where his health would steadily decline as he continued to struggle with gaining weight. He was well over 300 pounds when he suffered a stroke on March 5th in 2006. The following day, he would pass away at just 45 years old. The bottom line is that it can be near impossible to forgive and forget. But let us not forget all the positive things about Kirby Puckett, speaking his most clutch performance into existence and cementing himself as the greatest Minnesota Twins player of all time is just the tip of the iceberg. Kirby Puckett had an infectious energy and love for the game that we should always remember. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.